I boarded the Starship in the dead of night, the cold metal of the hull pressed against my palms as I stepped aboard, and the corridors echoed with silence that felt heavier than any gravity I had ever known. I flicked on the logs of the ship, searching for anything familiar, but the blinking lights cast shadows across my face and reminded me of all the things I had lost. My son, I had watched him grow into a man who seemed untouchable, confident, untamed, but tonight I was not here for him. I was here for his wife, the woman I had trusted, the woman who once promised loyalty and love, and yet she had built a life without me, a life that I had no part in. The Starship hummed beneath me, and the artificial gravity hummed like a heartbeat as I activated the main log, and the screen lit up with the dates and names. I skimmed through names of crew, missions, coordinates of distant planets, moons, and finally I found it, a record I did not expect, a record that twisted my stomach and made my hands shake. I saw the date of colonization, and it was recent, too recent. I saw the coordinates. It was on the moon. My own son's wife had already established a colony on the moon, and I had not been invited. She had done it without me, without warning, without a single message, and the realization hit me harder than a meteor strike. I remembered the arguments, the late-night conversations, the hushed whispers I had overheard in the family quarters, but nothing had prepared me for this betrayal. The betrayal burned in my chest, and my breath came in short, shallow bursts. I could not believe that someone I had called family would hide such a monumental act from me. I felt as though the universe itself had conspired against me, as though every star I had charted, every flight I had piloted had been meaningless. The logs detailed the colony. It was massive, far beyond what I had imagined. It almost seemed impossible that she could have accomplished this alone, and yet there it was, a thriving settlement, domes glittering under the lunar light, machinery humming, life sprouting from sterile dust, and in the records she had left notes, messages for the settlers, instructions, guidance, and yet no mention of me, no acknowledgement of my existence. I scrolled through images of the colony, images that made my vision blur and my heart pound. I had spent years exploring the far reaches of the galaxy, charting stars and planets, solving mysteries that no one else dared to touch, and now I felt like a stranger in my own family, a man erased from history by the one I had trusted most. I could feel the emptiness of betrayal stretching through the cabin like the endless void of space. The silence was deafening, and every blinking light on the console seemed to mock me. And then I noticed something strange, a hidden log, a sequence of encrypted files buried beneath routine updates. It had a timestamp earlier than the colonization date. My pulse quickened. I had not expected secrets within secrets, and I pressed the override to decrypt the files, my hands trembling, my mind racing with possibilities, and as the data unfolded before me I realized she had planned this for years. She had manipulated events, erased records, and every decision I had made had been quietly rerouted by her design. The screen flickered and images of my son appeared in unexpected ways. He was smiling at her, celebrating her achievements, unaware of the storm I was building inside me. The love I had felt for him now clashed with anger, confusion, and a growing sense of purpose. I had to know why she had done this, why she had chosen to hide the colonization from me, and what it meant for the future of humanity and our family. I tapped into the ship's navigation systems and set a course for the moon. Every light year we passed, every jump through hyperspace, I felt the tension building, the betrayal twisting with the coldness of space and the mystery of what awaited me on the lunar surface. I could not turn back. I could not stop the questions that screamed inside my mind. I had to face her. I had to confront the truth, even if the truth destroyed everything I thought I knew. As we entered the orbit of the moon, the colony came into view like a jewel forged in silence, towers reaching for the sky, domes reflecting the harsh white of lunar light, and in the center a structure that pulsed with life and control. My son's wife stood at the pinnacle. In the recording she had left, she appeared commanding, fearless, untouchable, and the thought that she had done all of this without me, without a single glance in my direction, filled me with a mixture of awe and rage. I activated the landing sequence, my heart pounding in rhythm with the thrusters that descended through the thin lunar atmosphere. The surface rose to meet us, and every inch brought me closer to her, closer to the confrontation I had imagined for nights in solitude, imagining her explanations, imagining her confessions, imagining her remorse, and yet deep down I knew there would be none of that. She had never cared for my feelings, never counted my presence, and now I was about to step into a world where I had been erased completely. And as the landing gear touched the dust, I felt a strange clarity. The silence of space had sharpened my mind. My grief and betrayal coalesced into a determination that burned brighter than any star I had charted. The mystery of her colonization was no longer just a puzzle, it was a challenge, a gauntlet thrown across the void, and I was ready to face it, ready to confront her, ready to uncover the secrets that lay hidden beneath the silver domes and the artificial sunlight that bathed the lunar colony in unyielding perfection. I stepped off the Starship, the lunar dust clinging to my boots, each step echoing across the empty plains, the airless void pressing against my chest as if warning me to turn back, but I could not. I walked toward the domes, toward the structures that had been built in secrecy, toward the woman who had betrayed me. My hands clenched, my mind racing with questions, and my heart aching with a mixture of anger, sorrow, and disbelief. Inside the main dome the atmosphere was artificial but perfect, light filtering from the ceilings and the hum of machinery filling the silence as I moved through corridors lined with unfamiliar technology. One realized the scope of what she had done. She had not only colonized the moon, she had created a new world with rules and systems that I could barely comprehend. The settlers moved with purpose, yet fear lingered in their eyes, the unknown tension of someone powerful arriving unannounced. And then I saw her. She stood on a raised platform, her posture rigid, her eyes scanning the room like a commander analyzing her territory. She did not flinch when she saw me. She did not hesitate. She did not acknowledge the years of trust that had been shattered, the moments of family she had erased with a single decision. She was a force of nature, untouchable, calculating, and completely unrepentant. I demanded answers, my voice cutting through the hum of machinery. I wanted to know why she had hidden this from me, why she had erased my presence from every plan and every decision, why she had turned my son into a pawn in her grand design. She looked at me with a calm that made my blood boil, her smile faint, almost cruel, and she began to speak of vision, of progress, of necessity, of secrecy. She had seen the universe differently than I had imagined, and in her mind I was irrelevant. My son appeared behind her, his eyes wide, confusion etched across his face. He had not expected me to arrive. He had not been aware of the hidden logs, the secret plans, the manipulation, and he looked between us like a man caught in a storm. He had loved her, he had trusted her, and now he realized that everything he had believed was built on deception, and the betrayal cut him deeper than any Starship battle could have. She revealed the final shock. The colonization was only the beginning. She had found a new element, a discovery that could change humanity forever, and she had intended to control it alone without interference from governments, corporations, or family. She had manipulated political systems. She had forged alliances in secret. She had built an empire on the moon, and I had been blind to it. I felt the universe tilt beneath my feet, the ground of trust crumbling into dust. I confronted her with everything I knew, every secret manipulation, every hidden log, every erased communication. I unleashed years of grief and rage, and yet she remained unshaken. Her calm was infuriating, her confidence unbearable, and I realized the truth. She had never needed my approval, never wanted my presence. She had been planning this from the beginning. The betrayal was never a mistake, it was the strategy of a mind far sharper than mine. My son stepped forward. He looked at her pleadingly, yet she remained resolute. She told him that the future of humanity required sacrifice, that love and family were distractions, that emotion could not be allowed to interfere with progress, and he staggered back as if struck by gravity itself. I felt a rage unlike anything I had known. The stars of distant galaxies seemed to burn in reflection of my fury, and the emptiness of betrayal echoed like a black hole, devouring everything I had ever believed. I realized then that to survive, to reclaim any sense of purpose, I had to act. I had to uncover every secret she had hidden, every weakness, every hidden path that could undo her control. The colonization was only a piece of the puzzle, and the mystery of her plans stretched across moons, planets, and stars. She had turned the universe into a chessboard, and I was suddenly a pawn in a game far larger than I had ever imagined. I infiltrated the control center of the colony, the data banks pulsing with information, every file a map of power, manipulation, and hidden truths, and as I sifted through the records I found a trail, a single error, a miscalculation, a subtle oversight she had made in her haste to dominate, her ambition creating a path I could exploit. I realized the betrayal had given me insight into her mind, and the revelation filled me with a mix of dread and hope. I confronted my son again. I told him the truth, the deception, the manipulation, the hidden agendas, and he finally saw clearly the reality of the woman he had loved, the empire she had built, and the choices he had to make, and together we planned a way to challenge her, a strategy born not of emotion but of logic, of necessity, of survival and revenge. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as we moved forward into the web of secrets she had spun. The confrontation escalated to the heart of the colony, the dome where she stood commanding the settlers, her empire shining under artificial sunlight, the atmosphere thick with tension, and every step we took toward her was a step into danger, into mystery, into the unknown, and yet I felt the clarity of purpose, the fire of betrayal transforming into determination. I was no longer just a father betrayed, I was a force awakened, a mind sharpened by deceit, ready to uncover the shocking truths she had hidden. And then it happened, a revelation so shocking it changed everything. She revealed the final layer, the hidden truth behind the colonization, the element, the technology, the secret, the reason she had erased us. She had discovered a path to a new dimension, a reality untouched by our universe, a place where she could remake existence on her terms, and in that moment the universe itself seemed to bend the rules of reality, the stars shifting, the moon trembling, and the ground beneath our feet uncertain. I could not believe the revelation, the dimension. She had found a place beyond reality, a world where she could control existence itself, and I realized the full magnitude of her betrayal. Not only had she erased our presence, she had manipulated the very fabric of life to serve her vision. My son stood frozen, torn between loyalty, love, and the unbearable truth, and I felt the weight of centuries of human ambition pressing against my chest. The settlers looked on unaware of the storm brewing in the heart of their leader, and I understood that the power she had harnessed could either elevate humanity to heights unimaginable or crush it into dust. She had become a god in her own right, a force no ordinary law, no ordinary morality could contain, and yet I knew I could not let her succeed, not while family history, our legacy, hung in the balance. I stepped forward, challenging her presence alone, my voice cutting through the hum of machinery, and she turned slowly, her eyes locking onto mine, the calm confidence replaced for a moment by curiosity, the slightest flicker of recognition, and I realized the confrontation was no longer about colonization or ambition, it was about reality itself, it was about whether one mind could dictate the fate of all existence. She unleashed the power of the dimension, the air crackling with energy, the lights bending, stars shifting, and I felt my body weightless, my mind swimming with visions of worlds forming and collapsing in milliseconds. Yet I held fast, I focused on her patterns, her strategy, the manipulation she had relied on for years, and I found a weakness, the tiniest misalignment in her calculations, a flicker in the energy field that, if exploited, could unravel everything. My son joined me, his presence grounding my mind, reminding me of what we were fighting for. Together we synchronized our actions, disrupting the controls, redirecting the energy flows, destabilizing her connection to the new reality, and she realized it, her expression shifting from calm to fury to disbelief, and in that moment I felt the ultimate shock. The betrayal had turned inward, the mastermind overconfident, now vulnerable, and I could see the years of manipulation collapsing around her. The dimension she had created began to fold upon itself, the artificial reality bending, crashing, tearing, and the settlers screamed as they were caught in the collapse. Yet I felt no fear, only purpose, only clarity, only the burning need to reclaim what had been stolen from us. The moon itself shivered as if the universe was witnessing the fall of a god, and I moved with precision, exploiting every error, every weakness, every secret she had hidden in plain sight. She tried to reason, she tried to bargain, she offered power, knowledge, immortality, yet I saw through the facade the truth of her ambition, laid bare the love she had twisted into domination, the family she had used like pawns, and I knew there could be no compromise, not after everything, the betrayal, the secrets, the erasure of our lives. I pulled the final lever, initiating the collapse of her empire, the dimension unraveling like a star-going supernova, and I braced myself for the unknown. When the light dimmed and the dust settled, the colony was gone, the domes shattered, the machinery dead, and yet my son and I survived. The moon was quiet, the stars distant, the universe silent, as if respecting the gravity of what had happened, and in the emptiness I saw her one last time, a figure fading into the void, a ghost of ambition, a memory of betrayal, and I realized the true cost of power, the devastating beauty of revenge, the shocking clarity of surviving a mind that sought to outthink the cosmos itself. We returned to the Starship, the logs now silent, the systems calm, and the betrayal etched into memory yet transformed into wisdom. I looked at my son and saw not only the man he had become but the resilience we had forged together, the universe vast, unpredictable, but now within our understanding, and I realized that trust once broken could create clarity, that deception once endured could forge strength, and that even in the depths of betrayal humanity could rise beyond the stars. And as the Starship lifted from the moon, the Earth distant behind us, a tiny blue jewel in the black sea of space, I felt a strange peace. The mystery resolved, the shock endured, the betrayal survived, and I knew the story was not about loss or revenge alone, it was about discovery, courage, and the mind-blowing realization that even when erased by someone you loved, the human spirit could reclaim everything and soar beyond any star, beyond any universe, and into eternity.